Hi, I'm Jordan, a mentor with Grades of Green, and I'm here to welcome you into Phase 2 of the Waste Campaign. The two things that you need to do for Phase 2 are meeting with your Grades of Green mentor to discuss your waste issue and your solution, and you'll want to turn in the Design Your Waste Solution worksheet. And now I'm happy to introduce Amer Jandali, an environmental futurist, social designer, and founder of Future Meets Present.
Hi everyone, we are so excited to be hosting the second webinar of the Waste Campaign. And so this is the Phase 2 webinar, which is about action. So now that our campaign teams across the globe, you guys who are so inspiring, have researched your local waste issues, started to take a look at your waste stream, now you're creating a smart, actionable goal for waste reduction that you can implement in your school or in your community. So we are so proud of you for making it this far, and we're really excited to help you design solutions. So today we have the enormous pleasure of interviewing Amer Jandali. He is an amazing social designer, environmental futurist, and he is the founder of Future Meets Present. So thank you so much for joining us, Amer.
Welcome. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So Amer, thanks again for talking to our campaign teams today. First of all, I'd just love to get to know a little bit about what it is that you do and why you're passionate about waste reduction.
Yes, perfect. So I do a couple different things, all in the world of sustainability, obviously. My company, we have 3 core activities. So the first is product design, the second is systems design, and the third is events. The first product that we have, I can show you guys. If you're ready for it.
Yeah, we are ready.
Okay.
We're so ready.
So around my wrist, right here, is a bracelet that opens up and turns into a tiny bodega-sized shopping bag. So this is the bracelet tote, and it is our prototype, and we'll be launching very soon. So this is the first thing that my company does. And you just go like this, you wrap it up, and then you just tuck it back in.
That is awesome and so practical.
Yeah.
Because you can just have it on you all the time. So
Yes.
you don't even have to remember to put it in your bag. That's something that I struggle with too, is like, that's a very great example of intelligent design because it's just there on you. You don't even have to like remember to pack it or anything like that, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's part of our hope is that it's just, you like the way it looks.
Yeah.
And it happens to be made out of upcycled waste. And then if you like the way it looks, you just want to wear it anyway, and you just have a bag of it all the time. So yeah, that's the first branch of what we do as Future Meets Present. The second is systems design. So we're here in a co-working space in West Chelsea called the Center for Social Innovation. And it is, just imagine a whole bunch of companies together that are all working for the betterment of people and planet. And one of my projects is actually to turn this place into a zero waste space. And so I guess you guys are now through your first phase, which is discovery and research. So you've done your waste audits, you know what's in there, you've gotten your hands dirty, and then now it's about designing solutions. So I'm actually in the same part as you guys when it comes to this project here. We've done a couple of waste audits, and now that we know exactly what's in our waste, we can start looking at it and informing people. It's like, how do you bring that information to people in a way that it doesn't feel overwhelming, in a way that's clear, makes sense, and then how do you design a system where it's like, you don't want too many things to read, like you know you want to recycle and just like do this thing, but you don't want to be overwhelmed with information. How do you make that easy? So that's number 2, and then the third thing we do is a yearly event where we bring together organizations like yours, all together in a celebratory context about climate change.
So Amer clearly wears many hats, and he's doing so many awesome things. So Amer, I would love to get, just considering that our campaign teams are starting to, set goals, when, through your own work, what's your process for like, now that you've done your research, you have all of this information, like how do you condense it down into a goal that you can really implement?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think this is why I like being called an environmental futurist. Because I think one can approach environmentalism in different ways. For example, you can be a filmmaker, you can be an advocate, you can be all these different things. My lens, what I really enjoy doing is actually just thinking about the future. I find that that's just a natural tendency. And I always start with, it would be sick if this. It would be super cool if this happened. So for example, with my bracelet, I'm thinking it would be super cool if we could divert 50,000 disposable bags from landfills. Just as a cloud thought, you know,
Yeah.
just thinking like, oh, it'd be so cool if we could divert 50,000 bags. And then you reverse engineer it. And then you do some research and you find out, well, each New Yorker goes through an average of 3 per person per day. So if you start counting all those disposable bags, how many do I need to sell in order to get to 50,000? And you kind of reverse engineer it that way.
Yeah.
So that's been very helpful for me. So like one quick answer is just be playful with it.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to think big like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then when in certain contexts, when it is necessary to have more concrete things, fortunately we have the Sustainable Development Goals now, and we have an array of cities and states around the country that are moving towards zero waste goals. And so it's established that we want to divert up to 90% of our waste away from landfill. So that's a goal that, you know, we collectively have.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's up to us to align ourselves with that. So if you're finding in your waste audits that, you know, 5 pounds of trash is the average, and then you want to reduce it down to 1 pound of trash, that's amazing. That's a solid goal, something you can easily measure, and something that you can report on later.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's awesome. And when you're starting to put your goals into action, how do you, because you have this amazing vision, like you have this goal, you know, this idea, and then you kind of set a goal, how do you get other people involved? Like, how do you build a team to help you make it a reality? Because no one can do, you know, that much stuff on their own. We all need help.
Yes.
So I'd love to learn a little bit more about your team and how you get others on board.
I think for me, it's about getting the vision out. Whatever you see and whatever it is that you feel in your head, the way you see the world, our responsibility is to get it out. And it's just as simple as creating a mood board. Future Meets Present is the name of my company. And what that means is, if we just stop for a moment and think about what a sustainable future looks like, I'm guessing that we intuitively sense that things like rooftop gardens and electric cars and solar panels, these things will just be normal. Like, I don't know, do you guys feel that same way? Do you see that in your head?
Yeah, totally.
And that, it comes with that vision. It just looks good, and it looks clean and streamlined and well designed. And so I think the idea is that future, it's not somewhere far away, but it's actually happening now. It's expressing itself. So my role as an entrepreneur, as a designer, as a visionary, if you say, is to get that vision and put it onto slides. And build that narrative, exactly what I just told you, just build it out into slides, and then share it with people. And then if people happen to connect with it, then you're lucky. You know, then you've done the work. And then based on that, based on your strengths and my strengths, then it's like, okay, this is your role, this is my role, we go for it.
Right.
You know?
Because there's so much room for everyone has something they can bring to the table, and there's
Exactly.
so much room in, you know, in the things that we're talking about. You know, everyone wants a clean and healthy planet ultimately.
Yes.
So there's so much room for everyone to contribute. I love that. That's such a great
Yeah. Even if you think about the X-Men or the Avengers, you know, like they're all doing the same fight, fighting the same fight, but they all have different strengths and skills. And that's what makes them each so beautiful and unique. And a lot of times in this space, it's easy to you can't unsee things. Especially if you see the vastness of the waste problem. It's like, oh, it's so big, like what can I do? Well, you take a look at yourself and what am I good at? And then you guide that towards the problem, towards the goal.
I'd love to learn a little bit more about what it means to be a social designer. That's such an interesting title. It's really cool, and it kind of makes me think, when you're thinking about waste issues, like so much of it is a social thing. Like, it's part of our culture, or, you know, depends on what your culture is, and your culture might be different. But here in New York City, you know, a lot of times it's part of our culture to go to a coffee shop, get a, you know, plastic or paper cup, and then just throw it out on the curbside trash. Or like, it's part of, you know, many of us, it's part of our culture to go to the corner store, you know, pick up a snack, and it comes in packaging. So when you're thinking about social design, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, that's so good. Well, I think to start, there's a very important distinction that we need to make. And the distinction between consumer responsibility and producer's responsibility, consumer and manufacturer responsibility. Because you can't, like, that's a perfect example. You just go to the bodega, you just want your chips. It's not your fault that it comes in a thing that can't be recycled. So we have personally a responsibility to make the choices whenever we can by bringing our own bags and bringing our own bottles.
but ultimately we can't ask everybody to just stay at home and make their own chips. So the problem it's twofold. One, it's empowering the people that want to do the right thing, and then two, creating systems around people that are just doing their thing. Creating the systems in a way that waste is not a default. So I talk to my roommates about this all the time because my roommates sometimes they just want to get takeout. You know, they got home, they don't want to cook, whatever, they just want to order takeout. I don't blame them. Get your food. It's not their fault that it comes in a styrofoam container. And I hate that that's like, oh, it's a bummer, you know, and then just like, dang, I got the styrofoam. I hate that. So what I like to visualize when I think is going to be happening is in the future, the system's going to adapt around us that the container is just going to be fully compostable. And then as in addition to that system, the trash receptacles are going to be, we're going to have curbside composting everywhere. Right now we only have curbside composting in some parts of New York City. And so we're seeing these indicators of little systemic shifts. But I think that's what's going to be normal, to where someone that just wants his bag of chips is already going to come in a container that's compostable or fully recyclable or biodegradable.
That makes total sense, and it's also like totally ties into what we talked about last week with our expert Anna Luke Jones, and the previous webinar was about creating an upstream solution. So that sounds like it's more of an upstream solution, is like advocating to the actual companies and to your local policymakers to create systems so that that stuff doesn't end up there in the first place, so that you don't even have to deal with it because there's a better system in place to prevent the waste from even being produced. So before we sign off, I would just love to know, do you have any like parting words of inspiration for our campaign teams that are, you know, some of them are, this might be the first time that they're making, you know, trying to make real change in their school, and that can be hard. So any words of encouragement or inspiration for them?
My first one is always hashtag playlikeachamp. Play like a champ. Just dig into that last molecule and give it all you got. The second thing is, in terms of social design, I'm reading a book called The Intergalactic Design Guide. It was written by my program chair for grad school. And she offers a really nice insight, and this has been very important for me, in that as designers, we can come into a community with the goal of wanting to see the community clearly. You know, you come in, you want to understand the community. That's true. It's a different thing, possibly more important, to come into a community wanting to learn how they see themselves. So if you're designing solutions, especially in the world of waste, it's really important to know your community because you design with them. Solutions come from the inside out, not top down. And what that looks like, for example, is you learn what matters to people. And when you learn what matters to people, you know how to design your communication to connect with what matters to them. For example, gender inequality is actually a huge, huge driver of climate change. I'm not going to say more, I'm going to leave you to research that on your own. But that's enough fuel to connect with someone who maybe doesn't really know much about sustainability, but is super galvanized by gender equality. So go into a community with the objective to learn how they see themselves, play like a champ, and stay cool.
Thanks so much, Amer. It was so great talking to you, so inspiring. To all of our campaign teams out there, if you have any questions for the expert, please comment below the video, and Amer will get back to you because he plays like a champ.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Later.